I'm sitting here with Billy Watson, and we're looking at all of the knives he's made. Billy, tell me a little bit about how you got started making knives.
Well, I've always loved knives as a kid. And to start out maybe 10, 11 years old, I'd take old saw blades and put handles in them, hacksaw blades.
Okay.
Then in the fire department, I started making a few knives like that for the guys who would go hunting, deer hunting.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't hunt much. And I got into forging knives. I saw some people forging knives once and said, this is the way to do this. So I started beating them out, and that opened up a whole new world. It's a whole different ball game. Now you got not only change the shape of them, but you can actually make different metal combinations.
Mm-hmm.
So then I heard about Damascus. And that was really neat. But little by little, I learned how to make Damascus, and a lot of trial and error. I'd make pieces and break them on purpose just to see what kind of wheels I had, and learn different patterns. And that's and of course, it's a never-ending process.
It's always something new to do.
I never learn it all, and I'm just at the bottom stages compared to what you possibly can do.
Okay. Well, I love your knives. How long have you been bringing knives to Friendship?
I've been coming up here for 12, 15 years now.
Okay.
I first came up here just to shoot. And then I started bringing along a few knives, and now I don't have time to shoot anymore.
Yeah. People love your knives. Sure. Do you have a favorite style of knife you like to make?
I like one called a 4-inch hunter. It's just a small drop point 4-inch knife.
Okay.
The guard's forged into the blade, and that's the most practical little knife I've ever made.
Okay. We'll get a picture of that in a little bit. How about folding knives? Is there anything special in folding knives?
Well, I only make 18th century style knives, or knives that I can sell at Rendezvous that we use in that time period. And one of the most popular knives is Barlow. So Barlow's been around for 300 years.
Yeah.
And every knife company in the world makes Barlow.
I have one of yours at home. I would love it.
George Washington even owned a Barlow. I've got some documents showing one of his Barlows, and so I copied pretty much that style.
Cool.
And Barlows were first produced in the late 1600s by two brothers. One of them named John, and I forget the other's name. But they were around Sheffield, England. They were produced in large numbers, shipped over here in wooden barrels packed in grease.
Oh, that's neat.
I think the grease was keeping from rusting since it's such a long way over here.
Sea
by
voyage.
boat, sea voyage. But they were inexpensive knives. They had a long bolster to make them strong. And then later on, the Revolutionary War knives became known as Barlows because they had a long bolster, even though they weren't Barlows.
Okay.
Like a skill saw. Any
Sure.
surface saw was a skill saw, where any knife with a long bolster was Barlow.
The name kind of adapts, doesn't it? That's neat.
So the three models of knives I make are strictly 18th century in design.
Okay. I can't remember if I've seen one of your folding knives with a Damascus blade. Do you do that too?
Sure, that's the most popular. I make the authentic-looking knives. They don't sell as well as the ones with the Damascus, which aren't really authentic. But the buck skinner of the day
He loves that Damascus.
he wants the finest.
Okay. Yeah.
And not so much on authenticity as he is on getting a nice piece.
Do you make pieces other than knives, like tomahawks or other edged weapons?
I make bowl ass wood carving tools, hatchets, and tomahawks. And there's a difference between the two. Small and large sizes. And I even make pipe tomahawks, really fancy, in Damascus, pipe bowls, some with a spike that screws into the end of the head.
Oh, replaces the bowl, I bet.
Replaces the bowl for a weapon, the type of thing.
Okay.
I've copied all my pieces out of a book by Peterson and some other books on hatchets and tomahawks.
It sounds like you're largely self-taught. Is there anybody that helped get you going on this or encouraged you?
Jim Batson, watching him work, and he's easy to listen to.
Okay.
Showed me a lot of neat stuff and got me started. And I like the style and shape of Danny Winkler's work.
Okay.
I just see he does some neat looking stuff.
Cool. Is there? I noticed some cable over there that looks like it's being worked into some form of Damascus blade. That sounds like a unique project.
They call it poor man of Damascus, or cable Damascus, or wire Damascus. It's easier to do than regular type.
I see.
It's got a pattern, but the pattern's not real pretty, not distinctive. But mostly I just do it when I'm doing a show and tell. I weld up a piece of cable because the people say, "Oh, that's neat. You weld up a cable."
Yeah.
And cable's welded right, not overheated and all, and it will make a good knife.
Okay. Now I'm guessing when you work on a traditional Damascus, you're refolding and refolding and refolding many times. Can you give us a little bit of idea about that process?
Well, you won't, for a certain pattern, you need a certain number of layers or whatever.
Okay.
And the only reason you fold it is to get the number of layers you want. If I could start out with 200 layers, I would do it all in one heap.
I see.
But I can't, so you start out with odd numbers like 11. That's my average size billet.
Okay.
And of course, I weld it. After this first weld, I cut it and restack it. Now I've got 22 and 44 and 88, so on like that.
Okay.
And then develop the pattern. I use a press to press in ripples, which looks like a washboard.
I've seen that, but didn't know what they did.
And that's called ladder pattern when you do that particular pattern. Another one where I drill small holes in it and reforge it, and you call that bird's eye. It's got little small circles, look like in there.
Okay.
And you take your table saw and cut X's in it, and that's another pattern. There's a name for that.
That's all done soft before you harden it then, or?
No. Well, when I put the patterns in, usually it's really silly hot.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now when I drill it, of course, I anneal it and drill it soft.
Okay.
But there's no limit to number of patterns. And then there's the pattern steel. Group of Damascus patterns where you use a piece of square tubing, weld at one end, and develop your pattern inside with pieces of nickel or metals with different alloys to get a certain pattern in there. Like write your name in there, whatever you want to do.
Oh my!
And then fill it in with powdered steel, all the voids, and you weld this together.
Okay.
Form the blades out of that.
Unlimited.
On your imagination.
Oh golly, that's cool.
If I had more time to play, I'd make more unique stuff.
Just looking from right here, I see a traditional knife with curly maple handles. Is that a common handle material you like?
Yeah. Maple is not the best handle material because it's soft, but it matches most of the muzzleloaders' guns. And the rendezvous is like maple over anything I make, they'll outsell it.
Okay. So
even though it is a little softer and doesn't make the best handle material.
It's the case where the customer drives the product a little bit.
Exactly.
Okay. I also saw some with leather rings and antler.
The leather handle knives were probably developed Skagel or some of the war knives or Marble knives. One of those companies, I don't know who actually developed that style of knife, makes a good handle. It's comfortable. It lasts a long time. Random knives are use a lot of leather.
Yeah. And
I've got a lot left over from my sheath making, so I got to do something with it.
Sounds like a good plan. Good plan. Tell me, we talked about the makeup of the Damascus blades. Do you have a favorite steel when it's a traditional blade or when you're hammering out, a blade that's not Damascus?
Well, I like 1095. It's just a good common steel, been around a long time, it's easy to work with, real forgiving when it comes to the heat treat. I also like car springs.
Okay.
American pickup trucks. I don't fool with no Toyotas. I'm not sure. There's a reason for it.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead and explain.
Well, it may make a good spring, but it may not always make a good knife. They'll heat treat a certain piece of metal for a Toyota, say, it makes a great spring for that car, but it may not make you a good knife when you reforge it. But if you use American trucks and full-size American cars, it's probably going to be 5160.
Okay.
And it'll probably make a good knife.
Okay. Easy to work and hold an edge well.
It will, and that's a good metal, and it's fairly forgiving on heat treat.
Okay. Well, that sounds great. It looks like you have a wife that helps you out.
I just labor. She's management. She runs the business.
Okay. Well,
you can write on the computer and send me an email. You're talking to Minnie, not talking to me.
Okay. Well, I may get a chance to do that one of these days. Do you have a website that you like to include with what we're doing?
WatsonKnives.com.
Okay. What I'll probably do is when we finish here, I'll make sure. Well, I know I've got a card, and I'll work at it from there. In fact, let me go ahead and close this.